Beneath a quiet farm field in the English countryside, on a cold November afternoon in 1992, a retired gardener was searching for something small and ordinary, a lost hammer. What his metal detector actually led him to was the largest hoard of Roman gold and silver ever found anywhere in Britain. This is the story of the Hoxne Hoard. On November 16, 1992, retired gardener and amateur metal detectorist Eric Laws was scanning a field southwest of the village of Hoxne in Suffolk, England, looking for a hammer that had been lost by the local tenant farmer, Peter Watling. According to ancient origins, Laws had only recently received the metal detector as a retirement gift and had no serious background as a treasure hunter. He was simply doing a favor for a friend on an otherwise unremarkable afternoon. According to my modern Met, when Laws swept the detector over the field, instead of the simple metallic signal he expected from a lost hand tool, the device picked up something far stronger and more unusual, coming from beneath the soil. Laws began digging and quickly recovered several silver spoons and gold coins. According to the World History Encyclopedia, some of what he uncovered he packed into 2 ordinary carrier bags before stopping to notify Watling of what he'd stumbled onto. What happened next is arguably just as important to this story as the treasure itself. According to records from the Suffolk Archaeological Unit, rather than continuing to dig on his own, Laws stopped and contacted both the police and local archaeologists, and the site was left intact. According to Suffolk Live, Laws reached into the hole he'd started, pulled out a handful of spoons and coins, and then, realizing the significance of what he'd found, made the decision to stop immediately rather than keep digging out of curiosity or greed. That single decision changed everything about how this discovery would ultimately be studied and understood. According to the World History Encyclopedia, because Laws reported the find right away instead of continuing to excavate it himself, the cache was professionally excavated by archaeologists soon afterward, meaning the crucial context around the objects, their positioning, their layering, and their condition was fully preserved. According to ancient origins, a team from the Suffolk County Council Archaeology Service arrived at the site the very next day to begin a proper controlled excavation. This is an almost unheard of outcome in the world of accidental treasure discoveries, where amateur digging frequently destroys the exact kind of archaeological context that turns a pile of valuable objects into genuine historical evidence. What the archaeologists ultimately recovered from that single Suffolk field was staggering in scale. According to Wikipedia, the hoard consists of 14,865 late Roman gold, silver, and bronze coins, along with approximately 200 additional items of silver tableware and gold jewelry, including an elaborate gold body chain, a full set of silver spoons, and a uniquely decorated silver piece known as the Empress Pepper Pot, according to the RomanEmpire.net historical archive. According to the World History Encyclopedia, altogether, the hoard amounts to roughly 7.7 pounds of gold and 52.4 pounds of silver, and its combined value today has been estimated at around $4.3 million. Archaeologists also discovered that the objects had originally been packed carefully inside a wooden chest, sorted largely by type, with smaller items further separated into wooden boxes or wrapped individually in fabric. All details that survived specifically because Laws stopped digging when he did. According to the RomanEmpire.net archive, the coins found within the hoard allow historians to date the treasure's burial with real precision, to the early 5th century AD, placing it right at the collapse of Roman authority in Britain, a period of enormous political and social upheaval as the Roman legions withdrew, and the structure of Roman rule in the province began to fall apart entirely. Burying a fortune like this wasn't an unusual response to that kind of instability. When the systems people relied on for protection and order start to disappear, burying your wealth in the ground, somewhere only you know, becomes one of the only forms of security left available. And yet, just as with so many of these historic hoards, one central mystery remains completely unanswered. According to Suffolk Live, it is not known who owned the Hoxne Hoard, though archaeologists believe it was likely the accumulated wealth of a single affluent private family, possibly connected to a nearby Roman settlement at a place called Skol, roughly 2 miles away. No name survives. No record identifies exactly who packed that wooden chest, buried it in this specific field, and never returned to reclaim it. The legal and financial outcome of the discovery unfolded carefully, and by the standards of treasure law at the time, quite favorably for the people involved. According to Daily Galaxy, English law at the time defined buried treasure under the ancient legal principle known as treasure trove, which applied specifically to objects that had been deliberately hidden with the clear intent of later recovery, and which were made substantially of gold or silver. A coroner's inquest held in 1993 determined that the Hoxne Hoard met this definition, meaning the treasure legally passed to the Crown. According to Suffolk Live, that inquest took place in Lowestoft in September of 1993, roughly 10 months after the original discovery. The Treasure Valuation Committee then set the hoard's official market value at £1.75 million, and under the reward system in effect at the time, that full amount was paid out to Laws and Watling, who shared the proceeds between them. According to Suffolk Live, that payment came through in November of 1993, exactly 1 year after Laws had gone looking for nothing more than a missing hammer. It's worth pointing out just how differently this story could have ended. Had Laws chosen to quietly keep digging and sell pieces privately, rather than immediately reporting the find, he likely would have faced serious legal consequences. And much of the hoard's true historical value, the context archaeologists rely on to actually understand an object rather than just admire it, would have been lost forever. According to Daily Galaxy, the British Museum ultimately acquired the entire hoard using funds from the National Heritage Memorial Fund, along with additional donations, ensuring the collection would remain intact and publicly accessible rather than being broken apart and sold off piece by piece to private collectors. According to RomanEmpire.net, the treasure is now permanently displayed in room 49 of the British Museum in London, where visitors can view the coins, jewelry, and silverware exactly as they were reconstructed from that single Suffolk field. According to Daily Galaxy, the significance of the Hoxne Hoard extends well beyond its financial value or even its historical age. At the time of its discovery, the relationship between amateur metal detectorists and professional archaeologists in Britain was often defined by real suspicion and conflict, with many archaeologists viewing detectorists as a threat to legitimate historical research. Eric Law's decision that day to stop digging, call the authorities, and simply wait is widely credited with helping shift that relationship. According to the World History Encyclopedia, the hoard has since become one of the clearest examples in British archaeological history of exactly how valuable an amateur discovery can be, not when it's kept secret or exploited privately, but when it's handled with patience and reported properly. More than 3 decades later, that quiet decision made in a cold Suffolk field is still shaping how discoveries like this one are handled across Britain today. Eric Laws went looking for a hammer that day, and by choosing to stop rather than keep digging, he ended up preserving one of the most important windows we have into the final years of Roman Britain, a fortune buried by someone whose name we will likely never know, hidden at the exact moment an empire was quietly coming apart.